Breaking news tonight, we've learned the Obama administration will be holding a classified meeting with House Democrats this Wednesday. The purpose of the meeting to discuss, well, the largest trade deal in history. It is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a trade agreement with 12 Latin American and Asian countries. Labor Secretary Thomas Perez and U.S. Trade Representative Michael Froman will be leading the meeting. But Democrats are already blasting the move to seal the meeting, saying it is an attempt to push a trade program in secret. It wouldn't be the first time, folks. Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas says this, quote, "Open trade should begin with open access." And next, we'll be told that it's also free trade. It usually comes at a very high cost to this country. We'll keep you posted on whether the Obama administration's, openness and transparency will present itself on this occasion. The former Secretary of State silent on her email controversy at an event earlier today, but Hillary Clinton's team offered a new story. A Clinton spokesman now claims Team Hillary read every email, as they put it, every email before deleting those deemed to be personal, even though a fact sheet released after her news conference last week said otherwise. Joining us now, former Reagan White House political director, Republican strategist, Fox News political analyst Ed Rollins. Let's start with the Trans-Pacific Partnership and this massive trade agreement that is now the subject of so much controversy in both parties.
Again, this needs to be a public debate. It's a very serious long-term issue. The president wants to fast-track it, and it's not going to happen without some bipartisan support. It's not going to happen without Democrats. So at the end of the day, Democrats are very worked up about this. There are some Republicans who obviously will give them the authority, but it's not going to happen unless it's bipartisan. And the only way it to be bipartisan is to discuss all the details, explain what people are getting into. Fast-track basically shouldn't be no track, and it should basically be it should be discussed.
If I may say, just to add a few thoughts on the margin here. One is that these trade agreements, and this one in particular, is supported by the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Roundtable, the biggest business interest associations in the country. There is another way, and that is for them to give their money to Democrats and Republicans alike to buy out the middle class without, of course, the middle class ever participating, or working men and women in this country ever having an opportunity.
Well, the thing that needs to be discussed right up front is how many jobs is going to cost. It's great to have rhetoric about prices being lowered, more jobs, all the rest of it. Doesn't ever seem to happen.
Yeah, we have never seen it happen.
Right.
It is so much bull that it's stacked so high. Well, I don't want to continue with the extraordinary metaphor.
I would say you're a no vote.
I'm a vote, but I'm sure going to vote against secrecy when it comes to government.
Absolutely.
And as you said so eloquently, I mean, the idea that this wouldn't be an open process, when we're talking about the direction and the lives of working men and women in this country.
And dealing with multi-nations. It's not a single or one-on-one. It's a multi-nation pact. We have no idea. It's the same with the Iran nuclear thing. Why isn't that being discussed? They keep saying, let us get the deal. Once the deal is done, it's like selling a real estate. Once you sign the deed, you don't get to come back and renegotiate.
I think occasionally Barack Obama, President Obama, is so envious of President Maduro in Venezuela that he can't stand it. Let's turn to the Secretary of State, her judgment that she had a right to do what she wanted with emails that were actually on official business conducted on her private server. So I guess there's an aphorism in there. Possession of the server is 9/10 of the debate. I don't know.
Well, the absurd part of this is Mrs. Clinton is a very smart woman, and obviously has been around the game a long time, beginning with her career as part of the Watergate staff in the early 70s, and she certainly knows what happens when documents are not public. My sense is all the crises they went through, they made an attempt to shield her from any further embarrassment. The idea that she has a team, she does not have a campaign team yet, and that's one of the problems she faces. I thought the press conference the other day was a disaster, and I think to a certain extent it's a terrible way to start a presidential campaign. She may very well be the nominee and may very well be a very serious candidate for president, but these sort of reinforcing negative impressions that people already have is not positive.
Well, Mr. Obama has to be cheering her on, though, because all of the focus on her is sort of detracting from the attention that might otherwise be focused on the Secretary of State, who has announced that he has a deep respect for the fatwas of the Ayatollah when it comes to the prospect of nuclear energy in Iran. Where did this sudden affection for Islam come from on the part of the secretary?
I have no idea. This secretary is running. They should take his plane away and park him in the State Department. He's been running around since the first day he was in there trying to make deals. He is so desperate to make a deal that he's willing to take any deal. Unfortunately, in this particular case, we're dealing with the worst guys in the world today who've sponsored nothing since 1979, nothing but terrorism all over the world. And I think to give them the potential of having a nuclear bomb is absurd.
One quick question as we wrap up here. Your judgment, your view, your perspective on One Voice, its involvement with the Israeli political strategy organization, V15, and their efforts to defeat Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, obviously they're there. It's sort of been documented. I think at the end of the day, the people have to decide whether they want a very strong leader, which is what Bibi has been, or whether they want to risk someone new. Either way, it's going to come out a very, very close election, and I think at the end of the day, I think he can put the coalition back together again. I think the risks are very high for the country and very high for peace in the Middle East if he doesn't get reelected.
Ed Rollins, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Take care.
Time for a look at our online poll results. We asked whether America has finally had its full of the Clintons. A modest 92% of you said yes. Be sure to vote in our poll tonight. The question is, do you believe Benjamin Netanyahu should be reelected Prime Minister of Israel? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com.